फिल्म अभिनेत्री कल्की जी के पास भी जाना चाहता हूँ, वो हमारे साथ जुड़ रही हैं. कल्की, थैंक यू सो मच for your time. You've spoken actually about being abused as a child, but more often than not, issues of child sexual abuse are brushed under the carpet because of the shame and stigma associated with them, a point that Tapsi was also talking about. Tell us how important it is to talk about this.
Well, yes, I think it's very important to talk about CSA, child sexual abuse, just because, you know, the more we talk about it, the greater the number, and the greater the number means the less stigma, less taboo around it, and then the easier it gets to find ways to heal from it. Also, to protect people from it. If we know how it's happening and why it's happening, we can prevent it from happening easier, as well as deterring those abusers. So I think it's extremely important to be able to speak up about it in whichever way that we can, in order to spread the word and you know, let people know, because it's actually so rampant and so common that it's quite shocking.
That's very interesting. You say that. We've been making that point in the campaign as well. And, you know, you spoke about how children being sexually abused is more common than we think. It's across geographies, age, gender, financial status. Sure. It's happening in poor families, affluent families, middle class as well. And as parents and teachers and psychiatrists, how can we all work together to create a safe space and conversation so children can tell us if something is wrong?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think, you know, it's a very complex situation, because first of all, I think that the adults need educating. You know, we are expecting a lot from children by asking them to come to us and tell us about it. And I think what we need to do is educate the adults, especially the parents, on how to recognize abuse. And we need to give adults support. So for the first step, I think, is for educators, for schools to always have, you know, some kind of psychiatric advisor or support in their system, so that they can recognize when there are signs that a child might be abused. And then for that person also to, you know, extend the help to the adults involved, you know, the parents, to give them training on how to help the child communicate. And the other thing I think that's really important is that we need to get rid of the taboo of sex in our society, and really start teaching sex education in a very sort of early stage of life.
Right, it's important that you said that, and it's important to have more conversations. Also, often in sexual abuse cases, the abused child feels like they're the ones who've done something wrong, and this is something that we need to address, because it'll also help them get over the trauma of it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So I think what often happens is that the child is taught by the abuser that what they've done is bad, or, you know, that what they've done is secret, and that they'll get into trouble if they tell anybody. Often the abuser is somebody that they love very much, or they fear very much, or both. And so it becomes very, very difficult for the child to open up. Even when the child does open up, and it's not it's an indirect way, many times the adults, you know, the parents are not prepared, don't know how to recognize it. And another thing is that parents tend to sort of also probably, you know, if it's a very close family member, and often actually 96% of the time it is somebody that the victim knows, the abused person knows. So, you know, it becomes very, very uncomfortable, and many people don't want to confront that person, and so kind of just want to brush it aside. And I think, once again, it's all about trying to find ways to support the adults. I think it's just this thing of training in all fields of life where children are involved. So we clearly always think of schools, but, you know, I'm saying your neighborhood, your gated community, your parks, all the places where children are there, should have some kind of trained adult to recognize these signs. As a society, I think that's how we tackle child sexual abuse.